Alright, you guys, here it is. The best and the cheapest way to heat your van or your tiny house. Alright. Alright, you guys, so a lot of you out there have been watching my video that I made a couple years ago called Cheap Ways to Heat Your Van. I'm doing a little follow-up video to that, particularly because it's gotten so much interest, and also because somebody has been asking me about an item that I featured in there that I think is one of the best solutions that I have come up with. So I want to explain this item to you. It's basically the cast iron tea light warmer that I had put in there. I have tried over the years for my entire life several different ways to heat small spaces. And as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the best viable options that I have come up with. It's also one of the safer options. It's also extremely multifunctional, which is very, very important in a small space. Ron and I live in a small house. It's not a tiny house, but it is a small house. And it's perfect for just 2 people, but we still have storage and space issues. And so something like this is multifunctional and small and lightweight is something that we are still interested in. Also, we do van life part-time, and we are going to be going on a trip here pretty soon. And so this is most likely an item I'm going to be taking with us on the road. This thing, like I say, is the size to where you can use it in just about any kind of vehicle, even if it's small. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not totally recommending it because of, you know, legal issues or whatever. But if you are smart and have some common sense and at least crack a window, I don't see why you couldn't at least use it in an emergency situation if you broke down on the side of the road in your car. Or, like I say, if you want to use it for heating a boat or whatever, I think that this is a viable option. And that being said, though, it's not going to be a primary source of heat for everybody. It's not going to make your space totally toasty warm, but it will help to take the chill off. So I made a small video about it, so let's get to it. Okay, so here's the entire set. And like I said, I was very fortunate. I found the heater part at a thrift store, and before that somebody had gifted me this teapot, and as you can see, they do go together quite well. I'm not sure that they are the same brand, but they really do look like they match. I'm pretty sure that they are a set. This bottom piece is the business part. But as you can see, you could use it to heat up and warm tea. And this cast iron pot, it's empty right now, so it's heating up pretty fast, even with just the little candles that I have in it. So you can use it as a candle tea warmer, and it puts out quite a bit of heat, if you would like. But also, another thing you could do is put it on your stove, whatever kind of stove you have in your rig, or in your house, even if I wanted to. I could turn on my burner and then use it as a heat collector, like the little Chinese canister one that I showed you guys. This will do the same exact thing. And it might even be a little bit safer because it's thicker metal, because it is cast iron. It's going to be like a wood stove, and it's going to hold the heat longer and then radiate it after the heat source is gone. You could do this with your cast iron pots as well. But I like the idea of this because you could fit this in anything. You could put this in a car with you. I'm not saying that you should, but theoretically you could carry this in a very small vehicle and then just use it as a candle warmer and warm a very small space. Now, I just lit this a few minutes ago and it's already warming up. So before it gets too hot, because it will, even with the little candles inside, because I put, you know, 2 candles, I want to lift this thing off before it gets too hot so I can show you that, ow, it probably already is too hot. Yeah, this has only been going for like a couple minutes, you guys. So I'm going to use my little oven mitt thing to see if I can get it off. I have these oven glove things. They work pretty good. Yeah, and the cool part is this is how you light your candles, but this little guy can be used to put a hot pot on top of, and see it's got little legs underneath. So like you could set it down on your countertop, and you know, like over here or something, like right there, and then put, like, say your teapot's really hot, you just put it right there, and it's not going to burn a hole in your countertop. So this thing is like really awesome. It's multifunctional. It also works great, like I said, as a lamp. But anyway, I'm going to show you. I just have like 2 little tea light candles in there, and the thing's already getting really hot, and it'll keep your tea hot for hours and hours. That's why they invented this thing like thousands of years ago in places like China and Japan, where they drink a lot of tea. And so I think it's ingenious, and like I say, it really does help to heat a small space. It might not be enough for everybody. You know, you might not have enough insulation, or your space might be a little bit larger like mine, but it will help take the edge off. It will also help radiate some heat. If you are in a small van and it's well insulated like mine was, I could almost get away with just doing this thing and maybe a couple of other little candle heaters that I had, or maybe not even that, depending on how cold it was. But I highly recommend something like this because it's compact, it's durable, it's pretty lightweight because it's small. Let me put the tape measure on it so you guys can see. It's not very big at all. So it's not going to take up that much room, and because it's not very big, even though it's cast iron, it doesn't weigh that much. So it's about 5 or 6 inches in diameter, and then it is like 3 inches tall. And like I say, you can buy this separate without the teapot, and it's going to cost you a lot less. If you do get the whole set, it might actually be more practical, because even empty, because this is cast iron, it's going to retain more heat and then radiate it off for you later on if the candles go out, especially if you put water in it. And if you want hot water, there you go. I mean, you're not using any extra fuel. If you use it as a heat collector on your stove, it's going to do the same thing. What I would recommend people do, if they want it just to take the chill off and do like an extra, you know, just have some extra radiant heat for a little while, I would recommend using it as a heat collector on a stove. Okay? If you need long-term heat, and you want to have something going on for several hours at night, and you don't want to get up and turn anything off, my suggestion is crack your windows if you're living in a small vehicle, or you know, any kind of thing, because it's got to have ventilation. I'm not too worried in a house because the house is kind of bigger, and also I've got it underneath my stove where the hood is. That's another option too, is keep it on your stove. And if you have any like hood ventilation, which a lot of RVs do, and a lot of self-build people are really smart, and they put in ventilation, or they do like I do and put the thing by the door. As long as there's some sort of draft where, you know, air can get in and out, then I don't see any reason why you couldn't use something like this all night long. And they do make tea lights that burn for 6 to 8 hours. And yes, they do, because I have tried them. They really do work. You just make sure that you get ones that say burn time 6 to 8 hours, and they're a little bit taller. Like the traditional tea lights are kind of like that tall, like the ones I have in there right now. And so the bigger ones are, you know, probably about 1 inch instead of 1/4 inch tall. And I'm telling you guys, they will burn for at least 6 hours to 8 hours, sometimes even more. And then you'll get that little bit of radiant heat, so that, and it's not, if it's really, really cold like it gets here, it's not going to make it so the van is toasty warm. But what it's going to do is it's going to keep you from freezing your butt off completely. It's going to keep the chill off. And you could also, you know, put your hands over it and get your hands warm if need be. So to me, out of all of my ideas, this, for me, in my humble opinion, is one of the best ideas that I have come up with. Because like I said, I've tried it all, because I've done all this stuff. And like I say, that's why I made that video a couple years ago for cheap heating. This, to me, is one of the better ideas that I have come up with. So, yeah, I just wanted to pass that on. And like I said, I told one guy in particular that I would do a video on this. And so I'm doing this video for you guys. But I just think that this is a really viable option. And like I say, it's multifunctional. I like multifunctional things, especially when you live in a small space. You don't want to have something that, for the most part, that just does one thing if you can help it. So to me, this right here is the ideal. And it's not quite, but it's almost as good as having a wood stove in your rig. And I think it's safer because candles are not going to put off as much off-gassing kind of stuff. They're not going to take up as much oxygen. They're not going to put as much smoke in your air. And as long as you keep your windows cracked, I don't see any safety hazards with this, except for maybe you might knock it over. I have accidentally kicked this thing over because I had it on the floor one time, and the only thing it did was spill the candle wax on the inside, and then I had to clean it out. It didn't make a mess anywhere else on my floor. It didn't cause a fire. So yeah, to me, I think because I've tried out lots of different things, I've used a lot of different things over the years, and to me, this is one of the best items that I have come up with that's cheap, reliable, multifunctional, and small enough to carry in just about any vehicle that you're going to be staying in, or, and it would even work great inside of a tent. As long as you have enough room inside your tent and you're not going to be kicking it over. I'm thinking that this would really be a good option in a tent if you were really leery and scared about putting a wood-burning stove in your tent, which a lot of us are. And tents are not airtight anyway, so there you go. I mean, to me, it's one of the best viable and safest options there is out there. Well, all right. That thing's pretty cool. So you guys are probably wondering, where the heck do you get one of those? Well, I bought mine at a thrift store. I was lucky enough to get it at a thrift store, but that's not going to be an option for all you guys. Yeah, I did look it up, and you can buy them on Amazon for about $25 to $30 by themselves. If you buy them with the teapot, it's going to cost you a little bit more. Teapots are kind of expensive, especially if they're cast iron. The option to just buy it by itself is a good one. For the price point, I think it's good, especially compared to like something fancy like a diesel, propane, or gasoline heater. If you have the means to do that and the right kind of vehicle, more power to you, because dry heat is the best, and you're going to feel a lot cozier and a lot better. But if you're like the rest of us and you don't have the finances or even the type of vehicle that you would want to put something like that in, or if your vehicle didn't come with that, I think this is a great way to supplement your heat with some dry heat, because anytime you burn propane or butane or whatever, it is going to give off a vapor. The way those furnaces work in RVs and such, the burning element thing is outside, and so the water vapor gets pushed outside, and then the heat is piped into the vehicle. Same thing with the diesel heaters and the gasoline versions of the same thing. So that's how they bypass that, and that's how they keep the heat dry. But for the rest of us, we're just going to be using our camp stove or something like that. So if we don't have a wood stove, then some dry candle heat is very important to help keep things dry. Even in our small house that we live in, it's not a tiny house, it is small. We do end up with a few condensation issues if we don't burn some dry heat. And also, running the fan for the furnace is expensive. We don't want to have to do that. So every once in a while, it's just a good thing to just have a little candle heater going, so you could just at least warm your hands and yeah, supplement the wood stove or whatever you're using with it. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys. Let me know in the comments, and yeah, stay warm and dry, you guys, and thanks for watching. See you guys on the next one.